YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video here. So, interesting report coming out of San Francisco here. So, Tim Kawakami of the San Francisco Standard has been a 49ers insider / reporter for as long as I can remember. But he's reporting that San Francisco internally has discussed the idea of former Seattle Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll as their defensive coordinator. So this is interesting in a number of ways. Today, the Jacksonville Jaguars fired Trent Baalke as their general manager. Trent Baalke, most known for blowing up the Harbaugh era, obviously if you're a 49ers fan, but Trent Baalke, one of the most disgusting, terrible general managers in all of sports. By those word choices, I'm sure you guys can probably hint at how I kind of feel about Trent Baalke. I can't stand that guy. Definitely one of the bottom tier general managers in all of football. How he got the job with Jacksonville is beyond me. I think Shad Khan is one of the worst owners in the NFL, and obviously he had a lot to do with that. However, the reason I'm bringing up Jacksonville here is because Liam Cohen, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, was expected to be the next Jaguars head coach bearing any major changes from what it seemed like, according to some reports. And today it was announced that he is out of the running for the Jaguars head coaching job and that he will stick and remain in Tampa as their offensive coordinator. So I don't know if Baalke, because shortly after this, Trent Baalke was fired. So I don't know if this had something to do with that. I don't know if Shad Khan, didn't like the way that Baalke handled the interview, or maybe Baalke scared Liam Cohen out of that job and he decided to remain in Tampa. I'm not entirely sure what happened. There's definitely a possibility in that. However, Trent Baalke's then fired, and now that has me really, really worried about Robert Saleh going to Jacksonville because, again, Liam Cohen, over the last 48 hours, seemingly emerged as their top choice for head coach. Then now he's sticking with Tampa Bay. And again, you got to think, to some degree, Robert Saleh is up there in the running for their head coach. He's got to be their top option, if not, a top 2 or 3 option. So obviously, Saleh now is going for a second interview for head coach this Friday, and he might have say in who his general manager will be. And that's even more enticing for Robert Saleh probably than it ever was. Now, again, Shad Khan as the owner of the Jaguars, still not that, it's still not a job that I think would be super appealing. But knowing that Saleh has been there before, he's well respected in the organization. Now he gets a potential chance, if he gets the job, to hire a general manager or to kind of have say in who the next general manager will be. So now he's kind of got a lot more pull than he did when Baalke was there as the GM. But now that he's fired, obviously it could be a little more enticing for Robert Saleh. So now I'm really worried than I ever have been that Saleh could go to Jacksonville to be their head coach. Now, obviously the 49ers are continuing to wait for Robert Saleh. He is their top option to be their next defensive coordinator. However, Tim Kawakami mentioned that Pete Carroll his name's been thrown out around the organization internally about becoming their next defensive coordinator. Now, this could be false. Kawakami's only reporting on what he's heard. So I don't know if there's a lot of truth to this report. However, Pete Carroll is also reportedly now that Ben Johnson went to the Chicago Bears, the Raiders' top choice to fill their head coach vacancy. So the thing with Pete Carroll is, yeah, I would absolutely welcome him to the 49ers to be our defensive coordinator, but knowing the type of guy Pete Carroll is, to me, it wouldn't make sense. To me, it wouldn't make sense if he's, I guess, entertaining the idea of becoming a defensive coordinator. And what I mean by that is I genuinely think that Pete Carroll's only going to return to the NFL if he's a head coach. Rightfully so. He had a 13, 14-year stint with Seattle, multiple Super Bowl appearances, won a Super Bowl. So to me, it makes sense for him to come back only for a head coaching job. However, Pete Carroll was the 49ers defensive coordinator from 1995 to 96, before he then came the Patriots head coach in 97. And then obviously eventually the head coach of UFC, where he completely turned USC into a powerhouse. And then obviously following the UFC job, he became the Seattle Seahawks head coach. So he's been in San Francisco before, and not to any high coaching role. And he was our defensive coordinator, but yeah, man, it's an enticing report because obviously, Pete Carroll's one of the, he's one of the original, pioneers of the 4-3 defense that the 49ers run with Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh obviously kind of was the one coaching the defense, but Pete Carroll obviously is one of the developers of this 4-3 scheme defense. Obviously 4-3 front, and then you kind of more of like a cover 3, in the back half of your secondary. So, Pete Carroll obviously knows this defensive scheme very well. Obviously it seems like the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan has openly said that he's open to the idea of kind of switching up the defensive scheme. However, I think the 49ers are pretty comfortable with the current scheme that they run. They've had a lot of success in doing so, and obviously I think the biggest problem last year was there wasn't a lot of adjustments from Nick Sorensen. When things didn't work, he didn't really adjust. He didn't really, throw in different ideas for the pass rush and for coverages and stuff. And that, I think that bothered Kyle Shanahan to a degree in which he decided to kind of relieve Nick Sorensen of the defensive coordinator role. So, yeah, either way, like I said, Pete Carroll is, it's being reported that he is likely the top head coaching option for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's obviously entertaining the idea of being a head coach. He's talking with the Raiders. I just don't know if he would want to come back as a defensive coordinator. He may be only entertaining the idea of coming back for a head coaching role. There's a good chance in that. But again, man, it obviously remains to be seen how serious the 49ers' interest is in Pete Carroll. Obviously, returning to the defensive coordinator position, he held 28 years ago, would absolutely be kind of like a full circle moment for Pete Carroll. Another thing to kind of note is is Pete Carroll coming back to the league if Pete Carroll comes back to the league to be a defensive coordinator, is that too much of a step back to where he wouldn't entertain the idea? I don't know. I don't know if he would want to work under Kyle Shanahan. I don't know, what it's, I guess, what his mindset is in this entire thing. And again, there hasn't been any mutual interest. This is literally a report just stating that the 49ers have discussed the idea internally within the organization of hiring Pete Carroll and at least reaching out to him to be their next defensive coordinator. So we shall see what happens. I would be very open to the idea of Pete Carroll coming to San Francisco. And the main reason why is because the 49ers are looking for an energetic type of guy to lead this defense, like DeMeco Ryans, like Robert Saleh. There's nobody more energetic in the NFL than Pete Carroll when he's coaching. And he's energetic to the degree that is crazy, and he's 73 years old. He's just a football guy. He's energetic. He connects with players. Clearly everybody in Seattle loved him. He was there for 14 seasons. So yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely intriguing. Pete Carroll would definitely be a great hire by the 49ers in my respective opinion. Yeah, Kyle Shanahan has diced up his defense in recent years and whatnot when he was with Seattle, but Pete Carroll's 73 years old. He's been in the NFL for a long time. He's had a lot of coaching experience. Pete Carroll's a guy that knows how to adapt and knows how to tweak things and make necessary changes if certain things aren't working out. So even though Kyle Shanahan has historically carved up Pete Carroll's defense, that doesn't necessarily mean that if the 49ers hire him, it's not going to be a good hire because that and that, the 4-3 scheme is starting to be figured out and whatnot. Like, Pete Carroll will make necessary changes. He's going to make tweaks to the defense, and he's going to do it to the point where he figures it out in a different type of, not necessarily scheme, but different coverages and blitzing packages. I mean, he's one to figure it out if things aren't working. And that's what Nick Sorensen couldn't do, which is why I think the main reason Kyle Shanahan fired him was because of that. So, yeah, man, we'll see what happens. I would love Pete Carroll on the Niners. Number one, it'd be a full circle moment for him. He's been with San Francisco in the past. So again, man, we'll see what happens. Definitely something to keep an eye out on. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Again, the 49ers have discussed Pete Carroll for the defensive coordinator role. They should at least reach out to him, in my opinion. So I'll continue to keep you guys updated on this situation. Obviously, Salah's definitely still the first choice, but if things fall through and he goes to Jacksonville, which looks a little more likely now, you at least reach out to Pete Carroll and see if he's interested in the role to some degree. So let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. As always, go Niners, and I'll see you guys in the next one.